All right, my name is Jennifer Fair, and I will be doing my servant leadership interview with Miss Amy Brady. And I'll start off by, do I have your permission?
Yes.
Okay. So Miss Amy Brady works in an ambulatory care setting where she manages 3 different departments, and she leads her department. So I'll start off with the first question. What do you think that you can do in your leadership role to empower others?
So the first thing is to find out what their goals are, and then once I know what their goals are, I just try to help them along that path. So luckily at Kaiser, we have a lot of resources. So if I have somebody that wants to, if they're in a tech role and they want to be a nurse, I just try to tell them how to get the funding and go on the right path to become a nurse. And if they want to be something else, like for instance, I have a CA that wants to be a project manager, so I just ask her to use her education money to go to classes for that, and then I just make sure she has a time off so she can pursue that. And then, because I really feel like any kind of education or any time you're bettering yourself is going to be better for me and better for the clinic.
Which is a great leadership role. You empower, which is very important to move people forward, and it seems like you think about others to advance, which is great. That's great. So the second question is, what are your personal leadership strengths?
Well, I think there's different leadership styles, and what I've learned is that I lead by consensus. So, and because that's the only way I know how to lead, and I really haven't been able to use any other style. That's like the only style I can use. So my strength is that I'm able to listen, and that I like to use other people's strengths to make my department better. So generally I like to have a meeting and find out what the problems are, and then ask for solutions and brainstorm, and then whatever works, that's great. I don't care if it's my opinion or not. If it works for everybody else, then it's great for me, because it's less for me to do.
Oh, we have something in common. I am participative leadership, so I also will allow feedback and have group discussions so we can come in a common agreement. So that's great.
Yeah.
So what role do you allow your fellow staff members to play in collaborating on decisions? You kind of touched on that.
Yeah, I mean, I try to get their opinions, and sometimes I found that sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes somebody just wants you to tell them what to do, and sometimes they want you to tell other people what to do, because the collaboration doesn't work all the time. And so there's too many ideas, and people don't agree, and then there's different personalities. So what was the question?
So it was
what role?
What role do you allow your fellow staff members to play in collaborating?
I think I allow them to tell me what they want, and if I see frustration because it's not working, then I just step in and tell people what to do.
Okay. And do you see this style usually overall will work out? Do you think it's like a longer, it takes longer to get to a common ground that way, or do you see it happening swiftly?
It takes longer. It takes longer to get to common ground, but it's better because everybody has buy-in. Like, everybody has a stake in it. So if you can say, if there's 5 people and all 5 different ideas, if you can just use some finesse and have a little bit of each person's thing, and then still make it so it's going to the goal, then everybody's pretty much happy, and they buy in.
Okay. So it works out overall.
It does. It usually works out, but it does take longer.
And how do you handle any suggestions and feedbacks? You touched on this pretty much when negotiating changes and improvements.
Well, there's different things. So there's changes that have to happen, that there's no negotiating. So if my boss tells me that this is what's going to happen, everybody has to do this. from now on. So there's no negotiating. That has to happen. So what I generally do to negotiate those changes or navigate those changes is I say, well, this has to happen. How do you guys think we can get that done?
And could you give me an example of one?
All right, so Kaiser had, it happens a lot. But so there was something called proactive care. So every time a patient comes in for a visit, you have to ask certain questions and do certain things. So you have to, if their blood pressure is above a certain thing, you have to do a repeat blood pressure. You have to follow this protocol. If somebody comes in and they need a mammogram, you have to order them a mammogram. You have to at least try to do the things and document it. So those are non-negotiable. Those are things that have to happen, and there's a report that comes out that says if they've been done or not. So that's like a measure. So if it's not done correctly, that means somebody could have corrective action or, like possibly be terminated, because of it. So it's kind of like these things have to be done. It's a pain in the neck to do it, but how can we, get it done? And then generally what happens is when those things happen, when things have to be done and people are pushing back, they don't want to do it, there's somebody that does it, somebody that does a great job. And then I get them to tell everybody else how they do it. And then, so if it happens to be somebody, a CA that does it 100%, I'll say, hey, can you tell them how you do it? And then usually if you're the one that does it, you're all happy and excited, and then you have a different attitude, and it kind of brings it,
And that's effective for the staff.
And then you have to just that's the tiresome part, is you have to keep asking until it becomes a habit. So, and then you don't have to do it anymore. Then you don't have to talk about it so much. It's just a habit. And then they have the next thing they have to do.
Just keep it afloat.
Yeah.
Do you allow for your staff, you pretty much touched on all the questions I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
Did you allow your staff to meet their full potential? You stated that you will push them and give them the resources available to go back to school or be off work.
Yeah, I definitely do that. I think there's some people that could meet their full potential outside of their role. So that's, to me, the hard part. It happened with you, where you were a nurse, you were in a CA role, and it was obvious that you needed to be in a nursing role. It's like, you need to quit. Like, I remember you would be so frustrated with me. I'm like, you really need to quit and just jump out of the nest. You have to. And you're like, no, I have a plan. And you did. And then, but the same thing, there's another CA that is she doesn't really like healthcare. She really likes technical stuff. And it's like, she has a degree. It's like, apply for a job and get a job outside of here. She's comfortable. And so it's like, but she's so young. And so I'm trying to really push her, because she's going to get stuck in a job she hates. And, I'm old enough to know, like, I love being a nurse, and if I would have been a receptionist for my whole life, I would have been miserable. So, and it was difficult for me, but somebody helped me. So it's like, okay, I have to help everyone else so that they can have a happy, life.
I think
happy
you're a great leader and a great resource. You have great qualities. Your strengths, collaborating with your team, you show good communication skills, definitely meets a servant leader. You fall into that category. So it is my pleasure working under you.
Oh,
and it was great interviewing you.
Thank you. Give her an A.
Thank you.